Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Today's story is a chaotic throwback to the late 90s, back when drive-through lanes were battlegrounds, sweet and sour sauce was apparently a weapon, and fast food workers had to double as referees. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Please don't pay for food you didn't order. I currently work at a craft store, but in the 20-odd years I've been in the service industry, I've worked all over. Fast food, big box stores, groceries, the works. This story's from the late 90s when I worked at a popular fast food joint in 3 different cities at different times. My last years with this establishment were in a university town, and they're basically what made me swear off fast food forever. At the time, very few places stayed open past midnight, much less the 24 hours they're open now. When I started working at a place open until 3 a.m., lobby until 11 p.m., drive-through until 3 a.m., it was a huge adjustment. What made it worse was the big events. This was a university in the States, so football season was huge, and home games would cause the most outrageous lines in our store. The big weekends were homecoming, and when we played our biggest rival at home, I wouldn't get out of the store until past 6 a.m. on those weekends, and it was horrible. One time, after one of those torturous shifts, I went outside to find that my car had sweet and sour sauce cups smashed on it. This story's from the rival game weekend. The lobby had been closed for hours, the drive-thru was getting close to closing time, and we had a line that wrapped around the store and out to the road since 8 p.m. I was on the drive-thru intercom trying to get people through as fast as I could. Of course, everyone was ordering huge amounts of food with special requests for their burgers. Just to paint a picture, it would often take people several minutes to get from the intercom to the pay window because we were so backed up. So I'd often lose track of who was ordering what. A customer orders some food, including a 2-cheeseburger meal with only ketchup. This was actually a semi-regular, which is why I still remember the special order. I'm doing my thing, taking money, taking orders, when I hear some yelling in the line. Okay, this isn't great, but it's normal. Everyone's hungry, tensions are running high. Then a gentleman walks up to my window from one of the cars a few behind. Uh-oh, I think. This is about to get weird. Nice guy, NG. Someone pulled ahead of me in the drive-thru line, and they're going to try to pay for my stuff. Me. Yikes. NG. Yeah, I can tell you exactly what I ordered, so you know I'm telling the truth. He proceeds to name the order, which is just coming up to be paid. The cars were slowly inching forward, and the offending car was pulling up to the window. The guys in it looked drunk, at the very least. One of them leans out, ignoring the dude standing next to my window, and holds out some money. Drunk guy, DG, I'd like to pay for my food. How much do I owe you? Now, I don't expect people to remember the exact amount they were quoted at the intercom, but this was his strike one in my head. There were some words exchanged between the guy standing at the window and the people in the car. I raised my voice to interrupt. Me. Sir, can you tell me what you ordered? DG. What? I ordered some food. Just let me pay for it. Me. This gentleman was able to tell me the whole order on his own. I don't think you ordered this food. You're going to have to leave. DG. I'm in line and I want to pay for my food. Just give me some food. At this point, other people in the drive-thru line who'd seen the guys sneak into the line, I hadn't because I was busy helping someone, were leaning out of their cars, yelling about what they'd seen. The guy standing at the window was trying to pay for his food, and the guys in the car in front of me were getting really belligerent. I was trying to keep the store updated on what was going on. The manager was calling the police, and the whole situation was getting crazy. Turns out the drunk guys didn't want to wait in the drive-thru line for an hour, so they cut in. They didn't know what food they were trying to pay for. They just wanted food, now. We told them they had to leave, that they weren't getting food here, and the cops were on their way. They yelled obscenities at me and tried to pull up to the pickup window to get food anyway. The manager informed them that they were going to get in trouble with the cops and that they'd better leave. Eventually, they peeled out of the parking lot before the police could arrive. The guy who originally ordered his food was able to pay and actually get his food and wasn't upset at us for the cause of all the problems. People in line were a little annoyed they had to wait longer, but understood for the most part. To this day, I still haven't seen a similar thing happen. I realize you were probably either panicking a bit or just trying to get them to leave, but you might not want to warn them about the cops next time. That just encourages them to run away. And our second story. We helped a woman with packages. Didn't know she was the Admiral's wife until years ago when I was attending Naval Nuclear Power School in Orlando. My best friend and I were involved in an incident at the Navy Exchange on base. It was payday, so after class, BF and I headed over to the exchange to cash our checks and pick up a few things. The exchange was part of a cluster of shops with a covered area connecting them. With the blazing Florida sun that day, there was quite a crowd gathered in the shaded area. As we were headed for the door of the exchange, we saw a well-dressed, late middle-aged woman carrying a large number of packages trying to get through the door. Why she didn't have a cart for all her packages, I have no clue. BF and I each grabbed one side of the double doors and opened them up for her. Just as she's coming through the door, a lieutenant comes charging through, nearly knocking her off her feet and sending her packages flying. The lieutenant joins with a cluster of other junior officers having a BS session. I catch the woman's arm to steady her, and once she's regained her balance, I run to get a shopping cart while BF starts gathering up her packages. When I return a moment later, we put all of her packages in the cart and present it to the woman. She gives us a huge smile and thank you. BF's a bit of a smart mouth and sees that the offending lieutenant still BSing with his buddies. He pitches his voice loud enough that he's sure the lieutenant will hear and says, "Our pleasure, ma'am. Some of us don't require an act of Congress to be gentlemen." Even though I'm laughing at this verbal barb, alarm bells are sounding in my head. Sure enough, the lieutenant has indeed heard and is striding our way, red-faced and breathing fire. BF and I pop to attention, and he proceeds to ream us each a new one. I must admit, his command of profanity was impressive, and coming from a sailor, that's saying something. During this tirade, I noticed that the lady we assisted has pushed her cart over to another small group of officers, talking to them and pointing in our direction. One of the officers detaches himself from the group and comes striding over. I swear I'd never seen as many scrambled eggs, gold braid, on a hat in my life, and his shoulder boards have 2 stars. It's the base commanding officer. OMG, we're done for now. BF and I are starting to reach for our IDs and getting ready to be put on report. He looks at BF and me and says, "Gentlemen, thank you for assisting my wife. You may go now." We snap out salutes and a brisk, "Yes, sir," and beat feet into the exchange. We look back through the glass wall to see the lieutenant standing at a very rigid attention while the admiral reduces him to a quivering puddle. I don't know what happened after that, but it's likely that he had very limited advancement potential and wasn't very happy with the choices of duty stations he had available to him. I wouldn't want to be in the LT's place that day, especially when being spoken to directly from the top dog in charge. And our last story. HOA Karen lost her job after falling into my empty pool. Prologue, briefly about the main characters. I, the narrator, a quiet IT guy who keeps a small ranch on the outskirts of Fairgrove, Iowa. Framed pool, 18 feet in diameter, a little over a meter deep. At the start of autumn, I drained it completely and covered it with a tarp that reads in huge letters, "Caution, empty." Karen Barstow. Not the president, just an ordinary yet far too loud member of the HOA board. Feuding with neighbors is her favorite sport and passion. Eddie Keller, my wife Jenny's brother, director of an insurance company. Sergeant Adams, the witty local cop who endures Karen only thanks to his paycheck and coffee. The action takes place in September 2005 when one very drunken jump triggers a whole cascade of consequences. September in Fairgrove is the time when morning fog hovers over the cornfields and the backyard feels the first icy breath of winter. That's when I drained our framed pool, carefully wiped the bottom, removed every ladder, and covered the shell with a thick PVC tarp. Karen from the house next door snapped a Polaroid of it, and the next day, wearing her best Sherlock Holmes expression, handed me a letter from the HOA. "Please keep your yard in proper condition and notify the board of any hazardous objects." I replied politely that the pool was empty, danger level 0, the tarp was secure, and I had photo proof in case of disputes. Karen sniffed. "You may think so, but our safety committee never sleeps." I assumed it was just her latest pastime. I was wrong. On September 28th, the whole family drove to the next county to celebrate my mother-in-law's 60th birthday. Seated with us was Eddie, the insurance director, and incidentally, the family's sharpest commentator. Around 2 a.m., just after the birthday girl blew out the last candle, my phone shrieked like a DEFCON 1 alarm. A 911 dispatcher said calmly, "Police and ambulance are at your address. The report claims the owner tried to kill a woman by treacherously draining the pool." I rasped. The owner's 60 miles from home, finishing cherry pie. The dispatcher politely advised me to show up in person. Eddie overheard and, setting down his glass, said, "As an insurance director, I have to see this. Let's go." When we arrived, the yard pulsed with blue and red flashes. On the lawn, posed like a dramatic mermaid, sat Karen, lipstick-smeared face, leopard robe, hair soaked as though from a tropical storm. Beside her stood Linda, a kindred spirit, clutching a half-full bottle of Jack Daniels. Karen wailed. "He deliberately drained the water. I could have shattered my spine. It's attempted murder." Sergeant Adams, shining his flashlight into the empty basin, finished up from the bottom, that same whiskey bottle. "I always age my whiskey underwater," I quipped. "Gives it unrivaled flavor." The cops checked my alibi, taxi receipt, relatives' testimony, photos of the draining, breathalyzer. Karen, 2.05%, Linda, 1.8%. On charges of false report plus trespassing, the ladies rode off to the drunk tank. Irony, en route, Karen tried to appeal the lack of heated seats in the patrol car. Monday, 9:07 a.m., Cornfield Mutual's office phone rings. "This is Karen. I'm gravely ill. Fever 104, cough worse than a TB ward." Remembering the nighttime mermaid, Eddie asked for an official doctor's note. An hour later, a fax arrived signed Dr. Rodriguez. No such physician existed within 300 miles of their database. At the same time a claim landed, Karen demanded $20,000 for lower back trauma in the client's dangerous pool, namely mine. Eddie pulled the police report. It read, "No injuries, state severe alcohol intoxication." Karen's signature on the booking sheet at 3:14. Tuesday, I was called as a witness. I brought tarp photos with EXIF dates, the nighttime taxi receipt, video call to my wife with a GPS timestamp. Karen entered like a B-movie extra. Pharmacy neck brace, coughs worthy of an Oscar. Eddie, "Last night you were flat with a fever? Then who signed right here?" Karen, paling, I was in shock." HR manager, "So why did a $20,000 claim arrive this morning?" Fraud plus workplace dishonesty plus trespassing equals instant dismissal. For the first time in years, Karen stayed silent for more than 30 seconds. Eddie dug deeper. He found 3 previous payouts to Karen for supposed yard injuries, each time at properties where she herself sat on the HOA board. 2002, broken ankle on a slippery path, $8,000. 2003, split eyebrow from a loose plank, $5,500. 2004, wrist injury from defective stairs, $6,000. Armed with the fresh report and my evidence, Cornfield Mutual filed a collective suit demanding full reimbursement and reputational damages. A week later, I received a certified envelope containing official apologies, a check for $250, new tarp plus my taxi, an agreement. I waive civil action. Karen pleads guilty and serves 120 hours of community service. The prosecutor hinted, accepted, or face a jury and criminal record. Karen chose pies over prison. A year later, at an HOA fair, I saw Karen in an apron handing out cupcakes to raise playground funds, part of her community hours. Spotting me, she smiled nervously and whispered, "Jack was a bad advisor." I didn't ask whether she meant the whiskey or an inner demon hungry for a juicy scandal. What matters is the pool survived the winter, and beside it now stands a sign. Depth 0 feet. Before diving, check sobriety and water level. A few months later, the new HOA president, Mrs. Gray, called me in a hush. "Would you teach our board a yard safety course?" After the scandal, the insurance company required mandatory training, and the only dry pool expert in their file was me. I invoiced $300 for one evening, exactly what new LED garlands for the winter ranch cost. The HOA agreed without a peep. The pool was empty, but Karen's head was much emptier. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.